Praise the Lord, my beautiful, blessed souls. We are black, we're bruised and not broken. And here I am with another word. I told you I was going to come back. We are in Deuteronomy chapter 9. This has been covering a lot. Let's get into it. This is my 402nd video. Yay! God is good. Anyway, hear, O Israel, you are to cross over the Jordan today to go into dispossess nations greater and mightier than you. Remember this. Cities great and fortified up to heaven. A people great and tall, sons of Anakim, who you know, and of whom you have heard it said, who can stand before the sons of Anak? Who? Know therefore today that he who goes over before you as a consuming fire is the Lord your God. He will destroy them and subdue them before you, so you shall drive them out and make them perish quickly, as the Lord has promised you. Do not say in your heart, after the Lord your God has thrust them out before you, it is because of my righteousness. Pay attention to that, because it's not because of our righteousness. It is not. That is not why God blesses us and do. No, we cannot pay, nor have we lived righteous enough. We're not worthy. That the Lord has brought me in to possess this land. Whereas it is because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord is driving them out before you. Good morning. Not because of your righteousness or the uprightness of your heart are you going in to possess their land. It is not because of that, but because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord God is driving them out from before you. This is why it is judgment, and that he may confirm the word that the Lord swore by your fathers to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, God keeps his oaths, his covenants, his contracts. He does not, whatever vow, whatever he says, he's going to do it. We, on the other hand, do not, but he does. Know therefore that the Lord your God is not giving you this good land to possess because of your righteousness. Exactly. For you are a stubborn people. Remember this. Remember and do not forget how you provoked the Lord your God to wrath in the wilderness, from the day you came out of the land of Egypt until you came into this place. So the whole 40 years you have been rebellious against the Lord. Even at Horeb, you provoked the Lord to wrath, and the Lord was so angry with you that he was ready to destroy you. When I went up to the mountain to receive the tablets, this is Moses speaking, of stone, the tablets of the covenant that the Lord made with you, I remained on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I neither ate bread, nor drank water. And the Lord gave me the 2 tablets of stone written on the finger of God, and on them were all the words that the Lord has spoken with you on the mountain out of the midst of the fire on the day of the assembly. And the end of the 40 days and 40 nights, the Lord gave me the 2 tablets of stone, the tablets of a covenant. Then the Lord said to me, arise, go down quickly from here, for your people who you have brought from Egypt have acted corruptly. They have turned aside quickly out of the way that I have commanded them, and they have made themselves a metal image. That was the calf. We continue to see these calves, these rams, these bulls, these things that they are sacrificing. When we look at them, they mean a lot of meaning. Furthermore, the Lord said to me, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stubborn people. They call us stiff-necked. Let me alone that I may destroy them. This is what God wanted. And that I may blot out their name from under heaven, and that I will make of you a nation, meaning he was going to recreate everything just through Moses, a new nation mightier and greater than they. So I turned and came down from the mountain, and the mountain was burning with fire, and the 2 tablets of the covenant were in my 2 hands. And I looked, and behold, you had sinned against the Lord your God already. You had made yourselves a golden calf. You had turned aside quickly from the way that the Lord had commanded you. So I took hold of the 2 tablets and threw them out of my hand, 2 hands, and broke them before your eyes. Then I lay prostrate before the Lord as before 40 days and 40 nights. So remember, he's praying and fasting for them. I neither ate bread nor drank water because of all the sin you had committed in doing what was evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. This is the people who stands in the gap for you, and this is how you treat them. For I was afraid of the anger and the hot dispossession that the Lord bore against you, so that he was ready to destroy you. This is what this was about. But the Lord listened to me that time also. And the Lord was so angry with Aaron, and that he was ready to destroy him. And I prayed for Aaron also the same time. Then I took the sinful thing, the calf that you had made, and burned it down with fire, and crushed it, grinding every small of it until it was fine as dust. And I threw the dust, all of it, into the brook that ran down from the mountain. We have to be so glad that God has just been so merciful towards us. Even when we were out doing what we wanted to do, it's just like amazes me. At Taberah also, and Massa, and Kibroth Hattaavah, you provoked the Lord to wrath again. And then when the Lord sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, go up and take possession of the land that I have given you, then you rebelled against the commandment of the Lord your God, and did not believe him or obey his voice. You have been rebellious against the Lord from the day that I knew you. Do you not hear this? So I lay prostrate before the Lord these 40 days and 40 nights, because the Lord said that he would destroy you. And I prayed to the Lord, oh God, do not destroy your people and your heritage, whom you have redeemed through your greatness, whom you have brought out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember your servants. Remember the ones you have your covenant with, who? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Do not regard the stubbornness of the people, or the wickedness, or their sin, lest the land from which you brought us would say, because the Lord was not able to bring them into the land that they promised them, and because he hated them, he has brought them out to put them to death in the wilderness. For they are your people and your heritage, whom you brought out your great power and by your outstretched arm. Amen. Lord, when I tell you, we got to get into this, because when we think about all of this stuff, it just like it goes over people's heads and think like it's nothing. This was a lot. Deuteronomy 9, here we go. The design of Moses in this chapter is to convince the people of Israel of their utter unworthiness to receive from God those great favors that were now to be conferred upon them. Right? It is not that they were deserving of any of this. What they deserved was what God wanted to give them. Please understand, it's writing this as it were in the capital letters, the head of their character, their charter. Not for your sake be it known unto you, Ezekiel 36:32. He assures them of a victory of their enemies. He cautions them not to attribute their success to what? Their own merit, but to God's justice, which was engaged against their enemies, and his faithfulness, which was engaged to their fathers, meaning he made the oath with them to make evident that they had no reason to boast of their own righteousness. He mentions their fault, shows Israel their transgression, their sin, iniquity, and the house of Jacob and their sins. In general, they had been all along a provoking people, right? In particular, the matter of the golden calf, the story of which he largely relates. He mentions some other instances of the rebellion and the returns to speak of the intercession he had made for them in Horeb to prevent them from being ruined for the golden calf incident. So he's reminding them, ooh, there is this stupid bug, and I've been trying to kill it, and they need to stay away from me. He's reminding them of all their faults. And isn't it wonderful that God, even though he mentions it to us, but he didn't hold them accountable. He didn't hold them, meaning he didn't stop them from going into the land. He kept his promise. He kept his word in spite of them. They did not deserve it. They deserved what they would have gotten if he had did wrath in every sense of the way. But if we get what we deserve, where would we be, honey? And this is even with our own children, with our own selves. When we think about all of the times that our parents, or we as parents, have allowed our children to get away with so much, and we still bless them and love them, was there for them in spite of them. Okay, and then the ungratefulness, the attitudes, all of the things that they, tend to acquire because they think somewhat that we're indebted and we owe them something. This is what this is about: attitude of gratitude. Full summary. Here's a clear, spiritually oriented full summary of Deuteronomy 9 with emphasis on lineage, covenant, history, and the spiritual message. Deuteronomy 9 is full of summary, lineage, and spiritual meaning. Deuteronomy 9 is Moses' reminder to Israel right before entering the promised land that their victory and inheritance have nothing to do with their own goodness. This is so true. Instead, it is due to what? God's promise to the ancestors, the relationship he had with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the ones who were obedient, the ones who did love him, the ones he did have covenant with, the ones who did obey him, the ones who did worship him in spirit and truth. This is who he had it with, not with others. They just were blessed because of them. The wickedness of the nations being expelled, God's mercy despite Israel's repeated rebellion. This chapter is a spiritual confrontation with pride, forgetfulness, and false confidence. Major themes: God will defeat the nations, not because of Israel's strength, and not because they deserved it. Israel's about to face some powerful nations, greater and taller, meaning and more mighty and many plentiful than them, with the fortified cities. But Moses made it clear God himself goes before them as a consuming fire. The victory is God's doing, not their own, and it's not because they are worthy and deserving of it. Spiritual meaning: humility before God is required when facing impossible battles. Victories come from him and not human strength, not by might, not by power, by your what? Spirit, Lord. Okay, 2, Israel is not getting the land because they're righteous. No, Moses repeat this truth 3 times so that they won't forget. You did not deserve this, not at all. You did not work for it, you did not deserve it, not at all. It is not because of your righteousness, not because of your faithfulness, because you are a stiff-necked people. God is acting because of the nation's wickedness, what those nations are doing, and the promise he made to your forefathers about this situation. Meaning he was going to give it to you. He promised them that. Lineage significance: God's covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob anchors the entire chapter. This means their inheritance is based on ancestral promise, not personal merit. God's faithfulness to past generations continues into the present. Israel's identity is rooted in lineage and covenant, not performance. This is what we understand. We need to understand it. Spiritual meaning: your spiritual inheritance is rooted in God's long-term covenant faithfulness, not your perfection. This is why we cannot enter by buying or by works. Why? It is by God's grace and his mercy, and through Jesus Christ coming and dying for us upon the cross. This is the only reason we are able to be reconciled. Debt was paid of sin. The wages was death, and he paid it. He was innocent, and he paid it for us. The innocent one paid it for us, the ones who were guilty. Please remember that. Moses reminded them in detail of how they repeatedly rebelled. At Mount Horeb, Sinai, and the golden calf, while Moses was receiving the 10 commandments, Israel made an idol. This broke the covenant almost immediately before it even got started. Moses shattered the tablets to show the covenant had been violated already. Moses' interception: he fasted for 40 days and nights to plead for Israel, Aaron, and for the covenant. Don't you see how people stand in the gap for you just as Christ did? Lineage connection: intercession preserved the nation so that God's promise to the patriarchs would continue. This is God keeping his promise and his word in spite of them. Now Moses sat there and he fasted and prayed on their behalf because God wanted to destroy them and start all over again with just Moses. Why? And he had every right to do so, but he did not. His grace and his mercy. I tell you, other rebellions, when we think about us as our own selves with our parents and as children, the same thing, the grace and the mercy, because there's a lot of situations that folks didn't have to do, be, whatever, but they did because they love you in the relationship. But do not take it for granted. That's where gratefulness comes into play. Other rebellions: lineage and connection. Intercession preserved the nation so that God's promise to the patriarchs would continue. Other rebellions: Moses lists places of disobedience: the Taberah, the Mesa, the Kibbutz Hadavah, Kadesh Barnea. These are examples of patterns of disobedience. From the day I knew you, you have been rebellious, meaning disobedient. Spiritual meaning: God's mercy persistently overrides human failure. Grace is inherited through covenant, not earned. Moses' prayer and God's mercy. Moses reminds them how he prayed, beginning, God, do not destroy his people, appealing to God's honor among nations, pointing back to God's oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God honors his word over everything. He is going to keep it. If he said he'll do it, he's going to do it in spite of you. It's not because of you. It's not because you deserve it. Lineage in this prayer: Moses uses the patriarchs as the basis of his plea. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those are the ones who did right and you made the oath with. This appeals to God's character, God's promises, and the ancestral connection that defines Israel, the relationship. That's why. Spiritual meaning: when God forgives, he often does so because of his covenant, not our perfection. Intercessory prayer plays a crucial role in preserving spiritual lineage. Be thankful for the ones who step in the gap, the ones who step in on your behalf, the ones who are there, the one God sends to help you, to be a blessing to you. Please understand that. Overall spiritual message. Humility. Blessing is never earned, it is received. Exactly. Covenant faithfulness. God keeps his promises across generations. 3. Intercession matters. Moses mediated, foreshadows the spiritual role of Christ as an intercessor, meaning stepping and standing in the gap. Why? For those who do not even deserve it, for those who are so against you, do not like you, do everything in opposition against you, but they still, this is just doing everything for those who do not even care nothing about you. Please understand that takes a lot. To intercede for someone, stand in the gap, is not. People be wanting these situations where they want these titles. Please understand what you're getting yourself into, because you may not understand it. Memory is spiritual armor. We pray for things and do not understand what comes with it. Memory is spiritual armor. Remembering past failures helps prevent pride and keeps the heart aligned with God. Lineage summary highlights 3 spiritual truths about lineage. Israel's identity is rooted in an ancient covenant, not present righteousness. The blessing continues because God honors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not because of them. Spiritual lineage is sustained by mercy and not by works. That's why we thank God for grace and mercy. I tell folks every day, grace and mercy follows me everywhere I go, and I thank God for that, because there's things that we just don't even understand, get ourselves into. Okay, fully explained summary. Okay, we're going to get into Israel will face strong nations. Moses tells them that they are crossing the Jordan to confront nations that are greater, meaning bigger and stronger. Fortified cities descended from Anakim. These are the giants, but God himself goes before them as a consuming fire, guaranteeing them victory. This is what God do. It's when we fight certain people, places, things, you be fighting God. Things go wrong. You don't even know. Either you're reaping or you, whatever it is you're doing. Message: God is the power behind breakthrough, not human strength. As let us know, not by might, not by power. Deuteronomy 9:4, not because of your righteousness. Israel's warned not to become prideful. God is not giving them the land because they are righteous or they're even deserving, but they are called stiff-necked people. God drives the nations out because of their wickedness. God keeps his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Blessing comes through covenant grace, not personal merit. Please understand that. Israel's rebellion at Sinai. Moses reminds them, from the very beginning, you have been rebellious and stiff-necked. You have provoked the Lord's anger plenty of times where he could have destroyed you. They just destroyed everything before it even started. But God still had grace and mercy upon you. They built the golden calf while Moses was receiving the 10 commandments. Hadn't even entered into. God threatened to destroy them and to raise a new nation from Moses, meaning start all over again, wipe all of them out, just kill them all off, and I'll just start over with you, Moses. And Moses could have been like, yeah, fine, let's do it. I mean, he stood and said no. Do you see how people can be such a blessing to your life and you treat them like trash and don't even realize it? Rebellion breaks covenant, pride, and blinds the heart. Wow. Yeah, break covenant, pride, and blinds the heart. Yes. Moses breaks the tablets. He comes down from the mountain. They piss Moses off. Hey, it is what it is. He sees the golden calf, throws the tablet, shattering the symbolic of covenant broken, burns and grinds the calf, scattering it into water. Intercedes for Israel and Aaron, who was also at fault. Remember, and Aaron ended up becoming a Levite, who was a priest. God forgave him and still allowed him to become a priest, which was a great task. It was one of, he forgave him. Idolatry destroys spiritual identity. Leadership requires intercession. Someone to come in, step in from the outside, mediate between you and God. Why? Because at that time, y'all are not doing well at all. God is so ready to destroy a pattern of rebellion, and this is what it is all about. When you see these patterns of rebellion, more rebellious episodes are listed: Taberah, Mesa, Kibroth, Hadavah, Kadesh, Barnea. These people were just doing it. Moses says plainly, you have been rebellious from the day I knew you. From the first time I ever met y'all, y'all was just some people that were just over in left field. And I have been trying to work with you people, but you people are just out of pocket. Moses' intercession. Moses fasted for 40 days and nights again, the second time, pleading, do not destroy your people. Remember your promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The nations will doubt your power if Israel is destroyed. Israel is your inheritance, who you brought out of Egypt. God's mercy rests on covenant and faithful intercession. They break down, he shows the lineage, the genealogy from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, the nations of Israel entering the promised land. This is what God promised them. God blesses Israel because of his covenant with the patriarchs, not them. Their spiritual lineage carries divine promise, protection, and purpose. Spiritual application, humility before blessing. When God promotes and opens doors or gives victory, it's not because we're good enough. It's not. It's because of grace and mercy and covenant favor. It's because God honors generations before us. Yes, the ones who were doing right. Application, stay humble even in success and give God the glory. This is what this is all about. Showing who did it. Because it wasn't on you and your own self, me, myself, and I. No. Remembering past failures, keep the heart clean. Israel had to remember their rebellion, not to shame them, but to prevent pride. And at times this happens. You have to point out certain things because people quickly forget. They remember what they want to. And this is what this is about, to show you, listen, even with your own children, people, places, things, you got to let them know, listen, okay, you did X, Y, Z, fine, but understand something. Do not get it twisted. Nobody has to do certain things for you. Understand that. If you do, it should be appreciated. You have been disrespectful all these times, and we've still been there. I didn't put you on blast. I didn't embarrass you. I didn't do all these things. I still was there for you. I covered you. I kept it in the house. But then you got some, put it on blast, put it out there. Everyone needs to know. They want to hold you accountable for everything, but they don't want to hold themselves. And this is what goes on. You know, I tell people all the time, even my kids, they think that they're the greatest. Y'all weren't the greatest kids. You say I wasn't the greatest mother, and you weren't the greatest kids. Right. So guess what? There's a lot I could have been, yeah, but I left it. I dealt with you, loved you in spite of you. Please understand, give me grace and mercy the same I gave you. Exactly. Intercession changes history. Moses' prayers literally saves this nation. Right. Your testimony includes your failures. Remember that, and keep your dependence on grace. Application. Your prayers can protect families, shift generation patterns, and uphold spiritual legacy. This is what this is all about when you're standing in the gap, interceding for people who do not care nothing about you, who will not help you, who ain't trying to help you do nothing. It is hard to be that person. It is not easy to intercede, especially when everyone is against you. It is not. It is not up for the weak. God's covenant outlasts human weakness. Israel's mistakes didn't cancel God's promise. Application. Your calling, destiny, and purpose stand on God's faithfulness, not your perfection, because we're not perfect. Everyone in the Bible, no one was perfect. They all had issues and flaws, but God still loved them and he still uses them in spite of them. Confronting idols. Golden calves today look like what? Money, relationships, success, ego, pride, fear, all of these things. Why? Ask what competes with God in your heart and then confront it. These are some of the things, the ways you can see where are we, giving, is it a man? Is it a wife? Is it a husband? Is it marriage? Is it a goal? If it's money, if it's, career, if it's education, whatever it is, it's something. If it's drinking, smoking, partying, it was hanging out, is it weed, whatever, sex, it could be anything. What competes with God in my heart and confront it? Comparison. Deuteronomy 9 verses related chapters. Deuteronomy 8 focused on remember God and prosperity. The tone was encouragement and warning. The theme was do not forget the Lord when blessed. Exactly. Deuteronomy 9 focused on remember your failures along with the good stuff. Remember, tone confrontational and corrective. Theme, do not think blessing come from your righteousness because you were so wonderful. You were not. It was because of grace and mercy. It was because of all these other things. And this is what parents usually do. And folks, children, we are ungrateful and a lot of times tend to think God has to. He does not. Along with parents here on earth, we do not. Deuteronomy 10, focus on God's mercy and renewed covenant. Tone is restoration. Theme, God gives new talents, new chance, and new life and a restoration. This is where healing, deliverance, and restoration comes in. To be restored back, meaning you have to get healed so you don't repeat, delivered, right? And then you restored back. Why? Because you don't want to continue the same old stuff. Together they form a spiritual pattern of what? Deuteronomy 8, gratitude. Deuteronomy 9, humility. We haven't gotten to Deuteronomy 10, but it says restoration. Hold on, let me see. Yes, because, and I didn't want to get ahead because I wanted to see, I don't want it to go into 10 yet. Okay, the chapter focus on this was Moses remind Israel that their inheritance is not earned by righteousness, but granted through God's promise, God's justice against wicked nations. That's why God's mercy despite Israel's rebellion. Remember, a lot of these people were practicing these Baal worships, all these other worships where they sacrifice children, do all these things. And remember, they were the ones who actually enslaved. If you remember, they the ones enslaved the children of God. They were enslaved after Jacob, died out. That's what happened. They had the next kings, and what they didn't remember them. So they went on ahead and started getting jealous or fearful and saying they're a great nation, they could take us over, and so they started doing things to them just because out of fear, out of, control, out of, wanting to be over them and control them. And this is what happens. Usually it's not for anything that the children of God have done. It's just because these other wicked ones decide and they allow, Satan to use them. So they started with doing what? Killing them, making them make more bricks with mortar. They wanted to kill off the children. If you look back, they were telling them when they're birthing to kill off the male children, all of these type of things, mind you. Israelites did nothing to these people. They were just evil and wicked. And those practices and sacrifices to their gods, they require bloodshed. So this was another reason why they did it, because most of these things were sacrifices to their God. So when we look at what's going on in the world today with the sex trafficking, the drugs, and all those things, we see who they worship. It's not nothing new. These things been going on. When we look at Bible and prophecy, it is fulfilling it. It is talking about everything that God has been telling us about, worshiping all of these other gods. And people talk about ancestors, all these things. I keep saying it over and over again. No, we do not need to be worshiping all these other. We're not. This is why we're in such a rut. Deuteronomy, key background. Deuteronomy, Moses' final speeches before Israel enters the promised land. Chapter 9 confronts pride, right? By exposing pride and ego is always a great fall. That's what got Satan kicked out of heaven. Pride, wanting to be God, want to be over God, want to be like God, want to overthrow God. Why? Turning on who created him. This is why everything happens usually is so close to us. It's family related. All of this is family. God created, hey, Satan, he created the heavens and earth. He created us, and look what we have done. Turned against him in every which way. His own children are siding with the enemy. You see? Israel's history, rebellion, God's unchanging covenant, Moses' intercession on their behalf. Do you see this? Major movements of the chapter. God will defeat strong nations. They will face giants, Anakim, the fortified cities, but God himself goes ahead as a consuming fire. Why? He is doing this in spite of them. God-appointed battles are won by God's power, not human abilities. We must understand this. Not because of our righteousness. Of course not. Israel is reminded 3 times that they are not righteous. God is acting because of what? The nation's wickedness. His promise to their fathers. Why? These nations are doing these worship. You got Moloch, you got Baal, you got all of these wicked ones that we even see to this day, that they are still sacrificing, still sexually assaulting, doing all these wicked things. They're still killing and doing these sacrificial things. They're still having the abortions. You see all of these people, they, the red and the blue and the this and the that and the government. No, when you look at all this stuff, they're all together doing the same things. They all run in the same circles, same type of people, whether it's in Hollywood, the music industry, the government itself. You see them all intertwined. So they're all doing the same things. And the sad part is, it's even gotten into the realm of the spiritual realm, where the churches and the gospel people, it's all, they say there's a Christian Illuminati. Here we go, boom. So if that's the case, they all run together. Why? Because they all work and they're up under the same umbrellas. Their systems, their kingdoms are all set up to one another, so they work with each other. But they let you think it's this and that, and it's not. But it's not because of righteousness. Israel's committed 3 times. They're not righteous. God is acting because of the nation's wickedness, his promise to their fathers. No, grace destroys pride. This is grace and mercy now. I'm glad grace and mercy follows me all the day of my life. Thank you, Lord. Israel's rebellion recounted. Moses tells them to remember. 1, the golden calf incident. All the times God spared you. Do not forget these things. They are so important. Of all the times, the incidences that we've gone through with it. People, places, things, friends, co-workers, spouses, children, family members, all of the things that we go through, we remember good and bad, but remember these incidents of grace and mercy on both ends. and when God has done it in our life. Why? Because he has been the one who has been delivering us regardless of us, in spite of us, out of it all. Golden Calf incident, angering God at Taberah, Massa, Kibroth Hattaavah, Kadesh, and Barnea. Remember, all of those were different instances where they rebelled and they took and went outside of God and did what they wanted to do, were disobedient, found themselves in situations where God could have rightfully just evilly destroy them, or let the ones that they were dealing with destroy them as well. Because remember, a lot of times when you're dealing with these other wicked gods and stuff, you don't understand, you get involved and you don't understand that they are themselves wanting to destroy you. And God already knows he's trying to protect you, as a parent does, from these outside things by keeping you. But see, because we don't like rules and regulations, we go out there and we think we know what we're doing, but we're sheep amongst the wolves until we get out there and see that, you know, these things are happening. That's just like if your child moves out and go lives with other people and then they go through all of this stuff, right? Because then you thought going to stay with these other people was so much wonderful, you didn't want to deal with the rules of the household of your family, so you thought that was so terrible. So you got somewhere, you see, if you ever actually see, it was worse over there than it was where you were. You might as well had stayed home. But see, pride and ego, folks' memories will let them remember what they want. The parents were so terrible. Was it really? If you left the house to go over there and do the same things, what difference really was it? You went over and did more over there than you did at with your own family. You'll forgive them for whatever they do, but you won't forgive your own people. That's crazy. Moses' intercession, he fasted 40 days and nights, pleaded for Israel and Aaron, remembered God of his promise to Israel, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. No, intercession preserved generations. Yes, I thank God for my grandmother and how she prayed for me, because even when I was out there in rebellion in my own stuff, and this is why I tell my kids as well. She was interceding at 92 years old. She's still here interceding for her children, her grandchildren. She's still alive, and she's still praying and fasting for us. And that's something. That's a blessing, because the prayers of the righteous availeth much in life and in death. It still availeth as much. So just thank God for the ones who are saved, who are living right, the ones you call crazy, and the ones you say, oh, they this, they that, and they're praying for you. You don't even know that they're praying for you. I know my grandmother, I knew she was praying for us. But it's just like they can be praying for you, and you against them, and you want the worst for them, and you so against them, and do it. Why? We have to really take a look at our lives sometimes. I tell you. Okay, spiritual meaning. Israel inherits the land through covenant lineage, not personal goodness. Exactly. A lot of times we get what we get not because we deserve it. And that's me as a child and me as an adult being children. It's not because you deserved it. It's because your parents loved you, they cared about you, so they wanted you to have it, even though because they know how hard it is in life, they know certain things. Now, I'm talking this, earthly. Well, God is different because he is a spiritual, but I'm just giving us these, so that we can kind of break it down in layman's terms and kind of understand it a little bit better. But God's protection is way more than our own, because he says it. What more would he do? He does way more than we do when it comes to our own children, because we cannot deal with them, but God still, wants us, and he still deals with us no matter what. So just wanted to, make that a highlight. Spiritual application, personal humility is protection. When God blesses you, remember, blessing equals grace, not performance. Whatever God allows you to have, because remember, you got to handle it as well. With every blessing comes more responsibility. And it's not that you're going to perform, meaning it's not performance what you did, but it's, maintaining it. It's the fact that you were able to get it and receive it. God gave it to you in spite of you. A lot of times when God calls us, we're not, capable. He equips us in his own way, in his own time, and to be, prepared for these things. Memory keeps us grounded. Israel sinned often, yet God remained faithful. When we think about all these times. Remember where God brought you from keeps pride away and ego. You tell people all the time you don't understand what he brought me through and where I am now, because if you knew me before, you would understand. Why? Because I'm not the same person that I used to be, when I was living in the street, when I was out there, when I wasn't saved, drinking, smoking, partying, hot-tempered, ready to, go off and do all these things. I'm not the way I used to be. I thank God I'm not where I want to be, meaning I'm not perfect. I still got, I'm a human being. I'm saved by grace. I still got stuff going on God's trying to deliver me from, but I'm not perfect. So I still got issues that I'm going through. And so it just is what it is. Moses' prayers saved millions. Your prayers can shift your family's path. This is why intercession prayers changes so much. That's what we fight. We fight on our knees in prayer. Now, don't get me twisted. If God tells you to fight in the natural, you better be ready to do that too, because sometimes you have to. God's promises outlines human weaknesses. You cannot outrun grace. Amen and hallelujah to that. Why? Because grace will still be there even when you ain't got it all the way together. Discussion question: why is a repeated told that they are not righteous? To let them know you are not deserving, but you are getting it in spite of you. What parallels exist between the golden calf and modern idols? There's just same thing. BET, Super Bowl. We hear praising and worshiping these things. I don't do it anymore. I don't. But these people, places, and things, and we see what they have going on. We see that they're not from God, and we still there, and they're still doing the same things, and nothing changed. Why are we doing these things? Well, God is blatantly showing us who these people are, places, and things, and yet they're still out there doing all these things, the Grammys, all these things. Same people involved in all of this wickedness, the same things Satan, Lucifer, the devil, and all his kingdom and systems have going on. God is showing us that this is who they worship, this is what they do, and you're still putting a band-aid like you don't even see it. It's all in your face: sexual assault, molestation, sex trafficking, these parties when they was doing all these nasty, wicked, spiritual things, and folks are still, oh yeah. Like, come on now. But you be mad with God about any and everything. You would nail God to the wall about the one thing that you don't get. This be the audacity, okay? Your parents, whoever, you would nail them to the wall, the audacity. How does Moses model intercessory prayer? What does this chapter teach about God's covenant with families? A lot. God is the creator of families. He always wants us to reconcile ourselves to him first and to each other. Pray, God, prayer of humility. Lord, remove every trace of pride, yes, ego, covetousness, jealousy. Let me never believe my blessings come from my own goodness, exactly my own hands. Prayer of remembrance. Help me remember what you have saved me from so I can remain humble and grateful. Yes. Prayer of intercession. I stand and pray for my family. Have mercy on us because of your covenant love, not because of us, not because of what we do and don't do. No, we all on our greatest day are not worthy. Christ is the only one. Prayer of covenant faith. God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, let your promises continue through our lineage. Why? Because we need that. Personal reflection. Ask ourselves, where have I built golden calves in my life? Exactly. Have I taken credit for blessings that God gave me by grace? Right? Am I saying, oh, it was me that did it, or it was God? No, you got a new job. You did this. Who was it, you, or was it God? You finished school? No, it was God. Who in my family needs me to intercede for them? So many. And I try to on the regular. How does remembering my past draw me closer to God and lets me see where he has brought me from and where he wants to take me? Write our reflections in a journal for deeper growth. Okay. Not because of our righteousness. Remember, never because of the battle ahead. Giants, fortified cities, God's consuming fire goes before us. Thank God. Because a lot of times in our lives, whatever we're dealing with, a lot of times these things are bigger than us. We do need God. And God lets us see that in what is going on, because some things we can handle ourselves, some things we cannot. And those are the things that God let us know that it is him. We wouldn't get out of it if it was for God. And will we thank him? Will we be change our lives, repent, really change? That's the question. Because getting God's grace and mercy but not doing nothing with it afterwards, the action of it is changing and repenting. That's the whole purpose, to learn. But are we doing it? The danger of pride, blessings and personal righteousness, God's justice, covenant, and faithfulness, right? Because remember, blessing just because you get a blessing doesn't mean you deserve it. So, and those who have a lot of them don't mean they deserve them either. It just means that they have them. They daddy, Satan blesses them just like our daddy God blesses us, or whatever. The reality of Israel's heart, the golden calf, multiple rebellions and patterns of stubbornness, lets us see where we are. Where are we really when it comes to God? Where are we really when it comes to each other, when it comes to our families, when it comes to everything? Where are we really? And any and everything we put before God is in idol. We're worshiping it. That's where our heart is, our treasure is, our money, our time. This is where it goes. That's why our pride and ego gets in the way. It has us worshiping and adoring these things, not making time for God, doing everything but resting, being obedient, living our lives as if it's just nothing, or just all the pleasures of the world. God says in his word, those who love the world hate him, because you couldn't possibly love God and love the world and all the things in it, because God hates these things. And that's just, the reality of it. Those who love the world, honey, God can't deal with you if you love the world, because there's nothing but sin here. And these kingdoms and systems are really for the world. You got to separate yourself. Moses the intercessor, fasting, standing in the gap, pleading the covenant. And like I said before, Christ is the ultimate. But Moses was at that time standing in the gap. It was a reflection of a future to come. A future to come. Oh, crap. A future to come. A future to come with Christ. That Christ would come and he would eventually lead us back by bridging the gap, instead of having to do all of the Levitical stuff. So Christ is the ultimate sacrifice, and we no longer have to do all that. Memory verses, Deuteronomy 9 and 6. Excuse me. Understand that the Lord your God is not giving you this good land to possess because of your righteousness. Remember that, for you are a stiff-necked people. Deuteronomy 9 and 3, the Lord your God is he who goes over before you as a consuming fire. So remember that he is the one doing these things. It is not by might, not by power, but by his spirit. He is the one doing these things for us, and not us in our own right. So we must be thankful and grateful and appreciative for all that he does and allow us to have, because we don't deserve it. And we have to be thankful and grateful because of it. Give me 1 second. Ooh. Okay, so now let me see if I've touched on all this 40 years of situation here. Could you imagine going 40 years? And I'm looking at the 40 and the this, that, and the third, because God interrupted my life at the age of 40. So I'm like, oh, wow. But going through all of these things and just looking and seeing what is actually going on in our lives, we have to pay attention, because we can notice that these numbers actually mean stuff. And I've noticed that too. Moses did 40 years in the wilderness before God called them, and then they went 40 years again. And it's like you see it. God has a pattern. That's why we need to get aligned with him, and we need to stay focused with him on what he's doing and paying attention, because I was talking about this year not being the year of 2026. And when we look and see what year this is, I think it's 5,786, I believe was what it was by the Hebrew calendar. We need to be going by that, because we don't want to be missing God. We got off track. The days of week, the months, all of these things were off track, and we're following what the world has given us culturally and everything else wise. And this is why we're not in alignment with God, but that was Satan's plan all along. We're not following what God set out on the Sabbaths and feasts that we're supposed to, I think it's 3 of them that we're supposed to be following throughout the years. Why? Because this is going to show us and have communion with God. This is how he structured us to be. You see, he gave them, took them out, gave them the law, just like he did with Adam and Eve. He provided and protected everything that Adam and Eve would have. They had it before they were put in the garden. So when we look at that, we see God will provide and protect. He was providing and protected for his own, not those who come up against him. Remember, those who hate him, those who hate his people, he's up against them. He's not going to be for them. He's going to fight against them, and you can't fight against God. That's just the bottom line. So you go against certain people, just understand God will step in, because those are his people, and he's not going to allow you to just, even if they're in rebellion, he's still not going to let you just do what you want to do. He might let them have some issues, but he's going to eventually come. So now, let me see. He's going to step in and help his people, because he's not going to just allow it. But when we look at these things that, like I said, that we are seeing in the industry and all these things, my question is, I know they keep asking about the children and all these other things, and I just want to know, because we're not seeing anything being done about any of these things that are going on. And my question with that is, where are we and what are we doing as, people of God, as, people, just regular people? Because we got to understand this. As human beings, why would we want these things to be allowed and to be okay? Why would we want to interact and pay for concerts for people who are sexually trafficking children, molesting, killing, all of these evil, wicked things that we see? We see Frazzlegate, Pizzagate, all of these things that they're doing, and we see what's going on, and God's allowing it to be revealed, but then we're still participating. So my question is to everyone, what are we doing here? Because if we don't seem to care, then the question is why? Where's the humanity? Where is the everyone claims that they save Christian, whatever, even those who are in the music industry that claim that they are these things, even those who present themselves with either Republican or Democrat or whatever, as if it makes a difference. Where are they? Because we don't see anything being done. Okay, even when the president himself was one who was involved with these, or was there. I mean, even if you're there and you didn't stop it, everyone is saying, oh, they were there, but they didn't. No, because if you were there, 9 times out of 10, you saw you. And you know what was going on, because only certain people are going to be there doing something. It's just, but so much you can sit here and the lies and the excuses, and we know the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So now, where are we going? What are we doing here? Because eventually judgment is going to come upon these people. Eventually you're going to reap what you sow. So my thing is, and God is going to tear down the kingdom of systems, as you can see with what is going on. Why? Because when you get to these places and you're doing these, after a while, God sees you're not repenting, you don't care, judgment will befall. As you can see in this whole thing we've been talking about, God allowed those people to be destroyed because of their wickedness, because of what? The same things we're seeing done now. Now they talk about it being America. It's not just America, it is all over the world. We even see that they have their consulate, that national forum where they have the WHO people and all of them, whether it's sickness and disease, whether it's the pharmakeia, destroying of the earth, the animals, the plant life, the seedlings, all of these things that they are doing that is out of pocket, that is not what God put us here to do, and they are doing what they want to do and playing God. So eventually we have to know something is going to happen eventually. We don't know when, where, or how, but we know eventually judgment, vengeance, righteous judgments, and vindication, because it's His, will come. So my question is to everyone, where are you going to find yourself in these situations? Because are you really a part of Christ? Are you really a part of the believers? Or are you a part of what is going on? Because culturally, you're saying you're this, but you're that. You're standing on platforms accepting awards with people that you know are doing these things. You're yourself participants, and you're lying and stealing, killing, destroying. My thing is, so what are we doing here? See, the contamination is so bad, so you can't tell the difference between who's God's and who not, and this is the problem. And when it gets like that, just understand, good morning, that eventually God is going to step in, and He's going to do something about it, because we're seeing it and nothing is being done. And God is a God of justice. He's a good God of judgment, righteous vindications, which we have to let Him handle it, because He will do it in His time. And that's that. But understand that when it happens, there will be a separation. And there will be the ones over there and the ones over here. There will be no middle ground. So everyone want to be goats. God's not coming back for goats. He's coming back for sheep. Sheep who listen to the shepherd. Why? Because the goats are the rebellious ones. Those are the Baphomets. You see what I'm saying? So we have to be careful, and we have to know who and what we're worshiping. You know, the Baphomet symbol is the homosexual symbol, the androgynes, the dualities. And we see that going on a lot. When we see these things, we must understand what we are looking at, and do not take it for granted. Do not discount it. Do not just continue on as usual. That is not... God God calls us to sound the alarm, sound the trumpet, to wake up those who will be waking up, because the rest will be asleep, and whatever happens is going to happen, because either you're going to awaken in the right time or you're going to be continuously asleep. And if you are, you're going to still go down that road with those people around the wrong way. Remember, narrow and small is the path and the way. And God's going to use the little so-called nobodies or whatever, because that's who he uses. And this is what's going to happen. Because it's not about platform. It's not, no. It is about how impactful are you going to be for the kingdom. Are you going to live right? Are you going to stand? Are you going to stand? Are you going to go through whatever? Are you going to deny the mark of the beast? Are you going to go with the flow with these people because they have money, power? Are you going to believe that God can take care of you in the wilderness? That is it about the money, power, and fame? Because if you can't live without it now, when the time comes, you really won't be able to live it out. If you can't trust God now, you won't be able to trust God then. God is previewing us to show us what it's like to lean and depend on him in those type of situations and seasons, because they are ahead of us and they are coming. Why? Because you must know the world is changing. Prophecy is being fulfilled, and everything that God says, from the pestilence, from the marks of the beast, from the Antichrist appearing on the scene, from everyone following him, from the lie being spread and it being believed, and everyone going along with that instead of the truth. This is what this is all about. And we see it right now because everyone is willing participants. Every sports event, look at the Olympics, the torches, this, all of that stuff. When you look at where that stuff comes from, it is the worship of other gods. Gods, goddesses, the Roman, the Olympics. They used to tear the Christians off. They look up and see where the Olympics was. They used to kill Christians, kill people, throw them in there, let them be killed. Do you think that God is in these things? Don't you think souls matter to God? People, human beings. I mean, when we get to a place where it does not matter, this is where we are. This is where Satan is like, where are we? Where are we, seriously? Where you can see pedophiles on there talking about, oh, they're saved and they're Christians. When you can know they're sex trafficking and drug trafficking and sexually assaulting children and sacrificing them to, and you sit there and say, oh, I'm thanking God. Are you serious? When the music they make and everyone they're entertaining is nothing but deviousness, but yet they sit there and proclaim Christ or God or whatever God it is that they worship, because it is not the God that I worship. Couldn't possibly be. He's not in any of that. You stand on all these altars, covenants, and these contracts, these platforms, and you say out your mouth, but in your heart and in your real life, you know you are far from God. Not the God that I serve, because you couldn't possibly be. Once you say sexual assault, killing children, sacrificing, all of these things, that would automatically have you running from anyone who's around that, does that, involved with any of that. It wouldn't have you up there throwing peace signs and hugging and kissing them and being involved with them at all. All of this witchcraft and sorcery. I'm just saying, we need to be looking at who's who and what's what, because we need to know, because when God comes, he's coming to gather his people. Please understand the motives, the intentions, everything that you've been seen and a part of. God is not stupid, nor is he slow. He does not slumber. And this is the time to sound and warn the trumpets and let people know. Why? Because it's right there in front of your face. You will not be able to say you didn't know, you didn't participate, you didn't know. God is sending us out to speak, to be announcing, and either you're going to take up and you're going to follow, or you are not. And the time is coming very soon. We see the darker, the more they do things, the more they aggravate the Holy Spirit. They want that covering to fall, the more that they grieve him, which is what's going to happen eventually. But we got to understand that battle of Armageddon is about what? The battle is about the souls, the paying of the wages of all the lost innocent souls, the righteous justice, judgment, and vindication, the verdicts that's going to come down. Every I is going to be dotted. Every T is going to be crossed. For who? All of the ones who were unjust, oppressed, and their blood is crying out for justice. Why? Because God sees and hears them. He's going to vindicate them. Why? Because vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. He will repay in his own time. But whatever you sow, you're going to reap it in due season. And this is what this is all about. And coming to collect his people who rightfully belong to him. Not just the Jew, but the Gentile alike. No matter race, color, creed, nationality, age bracket, please understand there are more young people leaving here at this point in time in this day and age than there are older people. Young people are leaving here by the boatloads. Pay attention, because you're not too young to leave here and go meet your maker in Hellville. It's not. It's not impossible. Because when you leave here, you must leave here with some kind of connotation, some type of relationship with Christ. And if not, he's the only way, true, and the light. Any other way, you can't get in. Buddha, Muhammad, none of them. Allah, none of them. And as you can see, it talks about even that in the word, about who's going to come up and who's going to be doing all this stuff. Now, we see who's in office. We see what's going on. We see God still sits on the throne, but we must be paying attention. Do not be asleep in this time. Look and watch and see what God is showing us right before our eyes. Watch and see. Do not be asleep. Do not act like you do not see it, because if you do not, it's because you don't want to. You do not believe it, it's because you don't want to. Remember the Beatitudes. For those who are seeking not, the sowers, whoever want it will get it. And those who do not will not. They will refuse it time and time again. But we cannot continue to cast our pearls amongst the swine. Why? Because these are the ones who do not want it. They are not willing. They are not deserving of it. Because they take it for nothing. This is like wasting your time. Anything you invest in, your time, money, energy, excluding your family, your friends, whatever it is you're doing in life, it's an investment. God invests in his people. Why? Be ye fruitful and multiply, to produce. Why would he invest in us for nothing? No, there's something he wants. He wants relationship. He wants obedience. He wants worship, service. He wants gratitude. All of these things that he rightfully deserves, and then some. We can never repay him for anything. And he's a parent, so he looks at us as his children, his bridegroom, all of these things. And we have to look at these things. Even with our earthly parents, we have to still look at these things. We don't put them in the place of God. We do not. But the honor is still there. Anyway, we are bruised and not broken. I hope that this message was a blessing to someone. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Pay attention to what is going on, because all of these things are distractions. And Ali Carter was talking about how the Super Bowl is one of the major ways that they're still circulating what they're doing with the sexual assaults and all of that. You know, even when people go missing, all of these things, you know, we have to be paying attention. I remember the strike with when they were striking the workers and they were transporting. They know where they're transporting these slaves, these people, places, and things by land, air, and sea. This is not, no, these people know what's in there. And they're allowed to do it. They talk about the tunnels underground and how there's a whole nother underground world in cities. And we are not paying attention to any of the things that is going on. It has to be. People vanish without a trace each and every day. You don't think God is watching these secret societies, the secrecy? Why? Hidden knowledge, hidden this, hidden that. Why? It's for a reason. It's hidden because they don't want you to know about it. Why? Because there's things about it that you would not be in agreement with. But see, some, for money, power, fame, and the look good, they don't care. They will take it all. They will do it all because they want it. That's their God. That's their idol. And they want it. And this is what they do. Out of desperation, out of wanting, out of pride and ego, whatever it is, becoming their own God, becoming whatever. But what is it for a man to gain the whole world and to lose his soul? Because everything will be left right here. This world is temporary, and we're not taking any of these things with us. Everything's going to remain right here. You can't take your car, your house. You can't take your children with you. No, when you leave here, you will leave here by yourself. You will answer to God by yourself. You're accountable for your own life. Please understand. I hope we got this. I love you all. Like I said, bruised and not broken. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. If I was a blessing to your family, you want to be a blessing to mine, you can donate to me. Like I said, be blessed. Love you guys. Until the next one, I got one more to do. Later.